Good afternoon. I'm Eyck. I'm Eyck Zimmer from the Chartine Clubhouse, in charge of the Western food there. And today I'm actually looking very much forward to do a nice little sandwich with you, the Croque Monsieur. There are many famous sandwiches in the world, the club sandwich, the Reuben sandwich. But as far as French cooking concerns, the Croque Monsieur is the most divine thing. So what we need for the Croque Monsieur is some nice country bread slices, not too thin sliced, yeah. So it's quite a hearty sandwich. So it's not a fine sandwich. So the ingredients showcase it as well. We have a little salad to serve that with. We have some beautiful ham, slightly smoked ham, some cheese. You can either use Emmental. We have today. You can use Gruyere Fontina. So any cheese that melts and has a nice aroma. Comté, also very good. Gruyere, as I said. Today we're using Emmental, and we also top that with a little bechamel, and the bechamel sauce is what we're going to start off with. So it's a very rich, creamy, flavoursome sandwich. Some seasoning on there. We have a little bit of mustard on the bread, some Worcester sauce for the sauce on top. We have, for the bechamel, we need the milk, a little bit of smoked paprika for flavouring. So the ingredients are quite simple, but the result of that sandwich, I think, will be very, very good. So we're starting now with doing our bechamel sauce. Bechamel, there's two basic sauces in French cooking. Actually, there's 5 basic mother sauces. The French call it 5 mother sauces in French cooking classically. Velouté is one of them, and the bechamel is the other. So we're cooking the bechamel. What we need for the bechamel is butter. And then we make what the French call a roux. So we melt the butter over medium heat, and we add some flour. And the flour obviously will thicken the sauce. So all we do is we sweat the butter with the flour. Golden, we don't want any color, so no brown. It's a white sauce, so there is no color on that. This should take about 1 to 2 minutes. Obviously, what this also helps is taking away the flour taste. You know, we need to cook the sauce for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to take away the flour taste and for the sauce to thicken and reduce. It's coming along nicely. The smell of butter, you know, when it releases its aroma. Very, very good. French cooking without butter is not possible. There's a couple of famous French chefs, Fernand Point and Escoffier. They all sort of say like, butter, give me more butter. So classically speaking, it's not the healthiest and lightest kitchen there is, food there is. Right, so this is all nicely melted now, and then we add the milk. Okay. We have one bay leaf, and you can also put let's chop the thyme. You can either just put the thyme in wholes, or you chop it finely if you don't mind the marbling bits inside, the little green pieces afterwards. I think flavor-wise, I like it more when it's chopped. And you can see actually also what you put into your sauce. It goes in there as well. So it's actually very, very simple sauce. It's a basic sauce you can use for gratins, you know, like with pasta or with potato. This is very versatile to use. And as you can see now, you know, it already thickens like a custard. Maybe this takes a little bit more milk. then we let this over slow, medium heat, cook very, very slowly, so all the taste of the flour becomes very smooth and very mellow. So our sauce has cooked now for 15 minutes, nice and creamy, smooth. We're going to finish this one off seasoning. Touch of pepper. I quite like the mignonette pepper, which has a slight grain to it, so it's not ground very fine. But again, it's a rustic dish what we're cooking today, so I think this is quite suitable for it. We have the pepper, a little bit of salt, nice sea salt. A little bit of nutmeg. I love nutmeg. It's part of plays quite a big part in German cooking. We put it in mashed potato, white sauces, and it gives it again. It brings out the cheese which we're going to put on, and the cream flavor. The marriage is very, very good. We've taken out the bay leaf, and you can see the sauce is nice, creamy, not too thin, not too thick, like it should be. Touch of Worcester sauce. Again, Worcester sauce, me having also a British passport and have worked in England for a long time, goes very well with cheese. Anything with cheese and a creamy sauce, Worcester sauce, brings out the flavor of the cheese. A little bit of smoked paprika went in, and the sauce is ready. This we'll be using to put on top of the sandwich before it goes in the oven, so it gratinates a little bit, and we're going to sprinkle some Parmesan on top. Good. Now for the sandwich. As I said, 2 nice slices of country bread, rye bread. We need some butter. And this sandwich we butter on all sides. So inside and outside, because obviously it's going to get fried. And what the butter does, as we pan fry it, it caramelizes slightly, toasts the bread, and gives it a nice crunch. And obviously butter is always flavor. As I said, it's not the healthiest sandwich, so don't be scared by the amount of butter we have on here. It's French cooking, after all. Then it's the inside. Now I personally put a little bit of mustard on the inside. So we have Dijon mustard from France, one of the most famous mustards in the world. You can use grain mustard if you want. You can use honey mustard, sweet mustard when you cook at home. It's entirely up to you what taste you prefer. So you can see a little bit of mustard. Now what we do is we place the ham on it. So this is almost like a meal. The Croque Monsieur you would have as a meal. So this is like a main course for lunch or breakfast. Not so much eaten at dinner time. It's more lunch. It's more lunch and breakfast thing. Okay, put this together. A little bit more butter, like I said, on the outside. Then it goes in the pan. Medium heat, not too hot, because obviously we want to toast. And what we want is, that's why it also goes in the oven afterwards, the cheese and the ham inside melting, so it's a very gooey, creamy filling in the center. Okay. So now you see we have already a little bit golden color. We just turn it around. And that will color a little bit more once we put this in the oven. Put this in the oven for about 3 to 4 minutes, maximum 5 minutes. But you can always look, and as you see the cheese slightly melting, coming out on the side, then it's time to take it out. Put a little bit of the bechamel on top, and we sprinkle it with some parmesan and gratinate it again. While the sandwich is in the oven, this is going to be served with a little salad. So we have some nice mesclun leaves, mixed salad, whatever you want. You can put in there a little celery. We just have a classic salad, a little bit of cucumber, a little bit of cherry tomatoes, and I'm just going to do a quick vinaigrette. And we all have those little glasses at home. Vinaigrette, usually you have a whisk and a bowl, and it seems quite complicated. There's a much easier way to make a fast vinaigrette. You put all the ingredients into a small jar. We're using some white balsamic, which has a little bit sweetness. The ratio is about vinegar 30%, oil 60%, and then we have a little bit of salt, pepper, and some mustard. Salt in there, and if you want, obviously the French vinaigrette classically has some mustard. Put a little bit of mustard in there, can also be pommery. Close the lid, shake it like crazy, nice and clean, no problem. Arrange our salad leaves, cherry tomatoes being washed. We cut in half. Appearance is also very important when it comes to food. You know, try to make it appetizing to look at, enticing. So the Chinaware plays a role. Colors, textures. Cucumber, if they're too big, just cut them in half. This one is quite nice. We put that on top. And then the vinaigrette we make, you can see, just drizzle a little bit over the top. And whatever is left over, you just put the lid back on, keep it in the fridge for the next day. Like vinaigrette, this keeps for a week, easy. All it is the vinegar and oil and salt and pepper and mustard. It doesn't go off too fast, you can keep that in the fridge. Checking up on our sandwich. Obviously be careful, handle very hot. You see, nicely toasted. Cheese is coming out. Now we spread a little bit of the bechamel on top. Don't be shy, you know. It can be done without the bechamel, but classically it has some bechamel on top. And it makes it a very indulging, rich, tasty, beautiful sandwich. Bechamel can drop a little bit down, no problem on there. And we sprinkle the whole thing with a little bit of parmesan. And we put it back in the oven for 1 or 2 more minutes. Top heat if you have. Okay, sandwich is looking good, nicely gratinated. I think it's time to come out of the oven. Let's have a look. Oh, yes. Looking good. So this is what we want. Slightly caramelized on top. The cheese is melting. Obviously be very careful, the pan is very hot. Don't burn your fingers. Onto the plate. Serve with that beautiful light salad. It doesn't get much more French than this. I hope you enjoyed making my Croque Monsieur, one of my favorite sandwiches. And thanks for joining me.